Hello friend, I want to tell you about the Suzuki SX4 II cross car. What engines were installed? At the time of the premiere, only two engines were offered, a 1.6 VVTi petrol and a 1.6 DDIS diesel. Both generated 120 hydrogen phosphide. Of course, the diesel had much more torque. However, the characteristics of the petrol allowed the car to accelerate faster from a standing start, while the diesel was slightly better in terms of flexibility. Both engines were paired with all-grip four-wheel drive and automatic. Cars with front-wheel drive had only manual gearboxes. The petrol engine was offered with a 5-speed or steepless gearbox, while the diesel engine had a 6-speed or double-clutch gearbox, also with 6 gears. This is because the 1.6 DDIS engine is a Fiat design known as multijet, so the gearbox is the same as the one installed in Italian cars. In 2016, the engine range changed completely. The basic drive was a 1.0 boosterjet petrol unit with 111 hydrogen phosphide, and the more powerful 1.4 boosterjet engine first generated 140 hydrogen phosphide, and from 2020-129 HP. This is due to the modernization of the engine by reducing its torque in the upper rev range, but increasing the maximum by 15 Nm using the ISG device in the mild hybrid system. The 1.0 boosterjet engine could optionally be equipped with a classic automatic gearbox with 6 gears, but it did not come with four-wheel drive. A 5-speed manual gearbox was standard. The more powerful engine with an automatic until 2020 was only available in combination with four-wheel drive, and it was also a classic gearbox. From 2020, the automatic was no longer offered, and the 1.0 boosterjet engine was discontinued. Four-wheel drive remained an option. Which engine to choose? Virtually every engine in the Suzuki SX4 II Cross is fine, although the diesel occasionally struggles with the automatic transmission. This is the riskiest and most expensive to service option. The Fiat unit is very refined and stands out for its low failure rate compared to similar designs. On the other hand, it does not burn so much less, 5.3 L 100 kilometers, to risk a costly failure. In addition, it is necessary to remember to regularly replace the timing drive belt every 100,000 kilometers or every 5 years. A much better choice is a petrol unit, and any one of them. The simple 1.6 VVT engine has indirect injection and no major technical complications, and users praise it for its complete failure-free operation. Absolutely basic servicing is enough. The timing drive is chain. If we want to use an LPG installation, it is worth having the valve clearance adjusted once every 60,000 kilometers. Unfortunately, this is quite an expensive operation, because it is done with shims, but the balance of profits and expenses from using LPG will be very positive. In the final analysis, an LPG car will be cheaper to run over longer distances than a diesel, although driving a diesel is slightly more enjoyable, especially if we compare the versions with automatic transmissions. After the facelift, we have only petrol engines to choose from, and both do not cause any problems, despite the use of direct injection. The 1.0 boosterjet unit is slightly more economical than the naturally aspirated 1.6, provided that we are happy to use low revs. Autocenter users report that the 1.0 engine uses an average of 6.2 L 100 kilometers, while the 1.6 needs 6.4 L 100 km. In contrast, the 1.4 boosterjet engine uses 6.9 L 100 kilometers in the 140 horsepower version, and 6.6 L 100 kilometers in the 129 horsepower version. Among the latest petrol engines, the best and most enjoyable is the 140 horsepower. It is the most dynamic, and its torque of 220 Nm brings it closer to diesel characteristics. However, it is worth emphasizing that users do not complain about the dynamics of the 3-cylinder 1.0 engine. For many, it is a positive surprise. The 1.4 boosterjet engine was a bit of a disappointment after the changes in 2020 and the addition of a mild hybrid drive. Performance dropped slightly, and the driver does not feel any benefits of having a solution aimed at reducing fuel consumption. It is worth being aware that although reports indicate lower fuel consumption of this unit, it was not offered with an automatic gearbox, so the average is more favorable. At the moment, there are no problems with the mild hybrid system, but these are potential weak points of the drive, which did not have them before, including the additional battery. Apart from the year, there is nothing to argue for choosing the 129 horsepower version. In summary, The diesel engine, although very good in itself, is average compared to other engines, and there are no arguments for choosing it. The 1.6 engine is the least problematic, also potentially the cheapest to repair, and the booster jet units are very good, although after a mileage of 200–250,000 kilometers, they may generate some problems. Is it worth choosing automatic and four-wheel drive? Four-wheel drive is certainly an added value, and the simple design with an electromagnetically controlled clutch engaging the rear axle has not yet revealed any problems. However, it is not a mandatory element, and choosing the 2WD version is nothing lost. As for gearboxes, the best are the 6-speed Aisin automatics with booster jet engines. The biggest risk is the choice of a Fiat dual-clutch gearbox with a diesel. The Jatco continuously variable gearbox is slightly safer because it is not overloaded. Its potential repair may be cheaper than a dual-clutch gearbox. Typical faults: the Suzuki SX4 S-Cross is one of the least problematic cars on the market, and in fact, those serviced at authorized service centers practically never break down. The only frequently reported problem among users is the power steering, although many claim that they have a problem but cannot describe it. For some, the steering system stiffens excessively. Others claim that you have to make a lot of corrections at higher speeds, and still others that the steering wheel does not return to the starting position after a turn. I personally drove 6 SX4 S-Cross models from different production periods and with different engine variants, and none of the above caught my attention. Perhaps these are individual cases, or perhaps the subjective feelings of people who simply do not like the car. Another problem, although very rare, is the failure of dual-clutch transmissions, so this concerns imported cars, and only a few of them. Replacing the clutches alone costs about $1,100, which somehow eliminates the economic sense of buying this variant. Diesel engines alone are only 12%. Other user complaints result more from the poor quality of the interior assembly than mechanical defects. Something creaks, squeaks in another place, or is loose, but generally the car simply does not break down. One can also have reservations about the early multimedia stations because they do not look and do not work modernly. Thanks for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know any problems with this car that I didn't mention, be sure to write about them in the comments.